Welcome to My Ninja Turtles channel. It's Saturday and it's time for Turtles. Thanks for joining me. We got a lot on the plate today. We're going to be talking about Challenges by Michael Dooney, possibly the best Leonardo story ever, possibly the best Ninja Turtles story ever, and I'm excited to talk about it. We got a lot to get to, so I'm going to get right to it. We have no time to spare. We got a busy day. It's Saturday, but we got a lot to do. So make sure to follow me, like and subscribe My Ninja Turtles channel, tell a friend. I do a live stream every Saturday and every Tuesday. I'm also on rumble.com/My Ninja Turtles channel, so check it out. Tell a friend. Most importantly, leave a chat, leave a comment, excuse me. I'm just so excited to be here, I can hardly talk. So leave a comment, leave a chat. We're gonna get started. We're getting into Challenges by Michael Dooney. Great story. Wonderful Ninja Turtles story, and I can't wait to talk about it. Like I said, I think it's my favorite Ninja Turtles story. You familiar with this graphic novel? By Michael Dooney. It came out in 1991, and I'm going to read the story before we start chatting about it. I'm not sure if everyone's read this story. It's not a typical comic book, it's a graphic novel, so sometimes it doesn't get included with the Ninja Turtles history and Ninja Turtles collections and all that. It was a very unique story. It was a very unique way to tell a story. It was, like I said, it's a self-contained graphic novel by Michael Dooney. He was one of the earliest Mirage artists and writers, very talented guy. And it contains 6 stories, 6 short stories, about 20 pages each, and they go over the origin, Splinter, Raphael, Michelangelo, Leonardo, and Donatello, and each one of them is kind of like a micro. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the micro series, the one-shots from the Ninja Turtles that kind of illustrate the Turtles' personalities, but this is like that. And we are going to be focusing on the Leonardo story. Sound okay with you? You guys might know Leonardo's my favorite Ninja Turtle, and I think he gets a lot of cool stories. And I'm excited to read this. I'm excited to go through it. So we're going to be reading Leonardo's chapter today. We're going to be reading Leonardo's chapter, and I'm pretty excited about it. So, Leonardo's chapter starts off. ... He has his own reasons, is the name of his chapter. The barn is old. In its time, it has sheltered many creatures, but never one like this. His name is Leonardo. The sword, the katana, is his chosen weapon. It is said that the sword was the soul of the samurai. But Leonardo is no samurai. He knows the blade is only one of many weapons available to him. He is ninja. His greatest weapons are his mind and his body. He practices hard, harder than his brothers, sometimes even harder than Master Splinter demands. He has his own reasons. The others think of him as the leader, the big brother, the serious one. Constantly on guard, determined to be ready for anything. His responsibilities are great, so great in fact that sometimes he forgets he is a teenager. Some voice within drives him on, insisting, relentless, faster Leonardo, again Leonardo, again Leonardo, again. Until, yo, Leo, Raph, some wise guy signed me up for the Barry Manilow fan club. You know anything about that? Very funny. Grow up, will ya? Oh, and they all have a laugh. How nice is that? So it's a real short story. It's real quick. I think we got through it there in like a minute or two. I mean, it's practically it's like a haiku. It's so short. It's just a real quick short story, but it gets right to the point. It illustrates Leonardo's personality. It shows the dynamic between the team. And I think it's a really great story. So let's get into it in a little more detail. Now that we've all gone through the story together, the nice quick tale. Oh, let me say hey to everyone in the chat real fast too before we get started. We've got Big and Soft Raffy, Mr. Turtle, Gen X Catholic, a lot of people. Pickles in the chat, Larzy, everyone's here today. Big shout out to Robert Kelly, Nordic Frost, everyone else that likes and comments. The crew is all here, we're all assembled. to talk about Challenges by Michael Dooney. This is a graphic novel. It was a self-contained book. It's smaller than a comic book. It's like 5 by 7. And it's really interesting. It's written and drawn by Michael Dooney. And I'm not sure if all of you are familiar with Michael Dooney. This is Michael Dooney a few years ago. And he's a really great artist, really great writer, and he's done a lot of work with the Turtles. He wrote and drew issue 13, one of the earliest Ninja Turtle comics way back in the 80s. We all know that Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman co-created the Ninja Turtles, and they did the first, 11 or 12 issues together. And then they opened it up to a bunch of guests. And Michael Dooney was one of the first guests to write and draw a comic. He was one of the earliest artists and writers that was part of their crew. He also wrote issue 27, book 27 in the guest era, and this is one of the only guest era issues that's considered canon. That was considered canon by Peter Laird. So it's interesting that he was a guest artist, but he was really part of the Mirage Studios team, one of the earliest members of the Mirage Studios team, other than Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman, the co-creators of the Ninja Turtles. He was brought on very early with Jim Lawson, a whole bunch of other early Mirage Studios members. Mirage Studios was the publisher that published the Ninja Turtles, of course, independent publisher in the 1980s. And you may recognize some of Michael Dooney's artwork. You recognize this? This is issue number 4, the second print of the original Ninja Turtles comics way back in the 80s, and it's got some very, very special art. Mr. Turtle says, what about Steve Levine? Yes, Steve Levine, also another early artist with Mirage Studios, another great artist. And you may recognize this cover from the second print of issue number 4 because it was later taken to the cover of the Nintendo game, as Gen X Catholic says right there. So they took Michael Dooney's awesome art, put it on the Nintendo game. I'm sure this confused tons of kids, wondering why their bandanas are all red. But we know their bandanas were all red in the comic books. So they were all red on the cover of the Ninja Turtles game. So his cover turned into the cover for the Ninja Turtles' first NES game. And this game was a huge seller. I think this Nintendo game was like the #1 game of 1989 or something. It came with a version of the Nintendo console. It was pre-packed in. So this had a lot of eyes on it, and his art made a lot of kids Ninja Turtles fans. And like I said, I'm sure it confused a lot of kids too. Why are they all Raphael? Why do they all have a red bandana? Is this an error? And in addition to the comic books, he also did the covers for the Ninja Turtles magazine. I'm not sure if any of you are aware, there was a Ninja Turtles magazine that had Ninja Turtles articles, Ninja Turtles puzzles, Ninja Turtles posters, crosswords, activities, information, interviews. And it ran for 13 issues in the early 90s, and he did all the covers. And the covers are beautiful. Like I said, he's a great artist. I think he paints these. I'm not sure if how he paints or whatever. This was back in the early 90s. But his artwork is beautiful. The way he draws the turtles is beautiful. They look buff, they look substantial, they're not scrawny, they look real, and they look tough. And these covers are amazing to these Ninja Turtles magazines. He did all the covers, there was 13 issues. They're all unique, they all have a unique style. And it's that Michael Dooney style. Michael Dooney, great writer, great artist, like I said. And he's not done yet. Not only did he work with the Turtles in the early 90s on Ninja Turtle magazine, he did all the covers for Volume 4 that came out in the early 2000s, like 2001 to like 2010, 2014, depending on how you look at it. And he did all the covers for Ninja Turtles Volume 4, the Ninja Turtles comics that were done by Peter Laird. And the covers are beautiful, like I said. He still has his unique style. The turtles are great, they're painted, they're wonderful, they're dynamic, there's action. Really cool. Gen X says, hope you do an episode on Jim Lawson, another great worker on the original books. I agree. One of the first Celebration videos I did was on Jim Lawson. I uploaded it back in February on Jim Lawson's birthday. Just like I recently uploaded that Rhonda Pattison video on her birthday, another Celebration video. These little respect videos I try and do. I know Papyrus commented that they like those, so I'm trying to keep those up. And Michael Dooney's covers look great. Jim Lawson's work is great. I may have to do another episode on Jim Lawson. I love him. Let's get some T's in the chat for Jim Lawson. And let's get some T's in the chat for Michael Dooney while I'm taking a breather here. Let's get some T's. T for Turtles. For Jim Lawson and Michael Dooney. These Volume 4 covers look awesome. He did every single cover for Volume 4. These are the great comic books that are black and white, done by only Peter Laird. The Turtles are a little bit older. I think they're supposed to be 30 in this version of the comic books. And look at how great this cover is. It's Michelangelo. Michelangelo at the dentist in space. What a crazy cover. Michelangelo's so expressive. He looks so great. The colors are wonderful. The way he draws the turtles is wonderful. They're expressive and they're dynamic, but they're still turtles. They're tough. And how can you make a trip to the dentist an exciting Ninja Turtles comic book cover? But he did it. And these comics are hard to get. Gen X Catholic says, I wish they would re-release these issues. They are expensive and rare. Yes, they are. I have most Ninja Turtles comic books, almost them all, but a few of these still elude me. I don't have 29, 30, and 32, so I'm missing 3 of them. But have all the rest. And I have this one, 28, great comic book. The turtles are all separated, they're in space, and Michael Dooney did a great cover. Michael Dooney is still active today. I think he does some Comic-Cons. We're going to get into the comic book real soon. Just wanted to give you a little bit of history on Michael Dooney so we know who we're talking about. A Ninja Turtles legend. A Ninja Turtles great. A lot of this stuff happened before our time, before my time. So I just wanted to give Michael Dooney a lot of credit, a lot of praise. Wonderful artist and a wonderful writer too. Well-rounded. He can paint, he can do it all. You can find him on Instagram, Facebook. He still posts about the turtles every now and then. He's a great guy. He posts a lot of curvy babes to a lot of bodacious babes, as you can see here. A lot of scantily clad women. Gotta say, some of his drawings, a little bit of a perv, but we're gonna let it slide. He's a great artist. I'll allow it. You wanna be a great artist? You can be a little bit of a perv, and oh, that's okay. You know, the women are all covered. He's just celebrating the beautiful form of women. And man, are some of these women, you know, busty. These women are thicker than a bowl of oatmeal. But he also posts on Twitter a lot too, and in addition to his comic book stuff and art and drawing busty women, he worked on the action figure designs for the exclusive Last Ronin figure. So it's really cool that he's worked on toys, he's created comic books, he creates paintings, he creates art. He's a creator. He's a content creator. Back before they were called content creators, they were just called artists. And he is a wonderful one. So that's a little history, that's a little backstory on Michael Dooney, the great Michael Dooney, who wrote and illustrated Challenges. Not only did he write it, he illustrated 6 stories. 6 little self-contained stories in a wonderful book. It's about 5 by 7. Big and Soft Raffi says, God, I love the Last Ronin artwork. It's amazing, isn't it? And that figure really looks amazing. The figure looks great and he helped bring it to life. Still talented. What is that, a 40-year career? What a hero. What a great guy. So Challenges, lettering by Mary Kelleher, art direction by Deborah Toffoli. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but like I said, the writer and artist was Michael Dooney. He does it all. Well-rounded guy, and the book really looks cool. It has that awesome kind of early 90s art direction to it, really cool art design, really stylized book. It's black and white. It's like a paperback. It came out in hardcover too. I have a few copies of the paperback, and you can almost fit it in your pocket and take it with you. I assume this was great for kids in the early 90s. It's a little kid-sized book. You can hold onto it in your hands. It's not a big, heavy hardcover book or anything. And it was cheap too. I think it was like $5, $7, $12 or something. It wasn't going to break the bank. You could pay for it with your allowance money. It was a realistic book for kids to obtain. It wasn't like first print #1 or anything. The issue #1 first print, but Challenges, 1991 by Mirage Publishing, Michael Dooney, copyright. Coming out of Northampton. That's where the turtles take place. And like I said, there are 6 stories. One about the origin, a retelling of the origin of the turtles, a tale about Splinter, and a tale for each one of the 4 turtles that really illustrates and exemplifies their personalities. It showcases how the turtles interact and why they are the way they are and how they get along and just the overall dynamic about being a Ninja Turtle. And the stories are so good. They're short to the point. They have a little plot, a little moral in each story. The plotting is great. The art is great. I can't say enough about this book. It's one of my favorite things. And like I said, the Leonardo one-shot micro-series comic book that goes into issue 10 of the original Mirage one is probably my favorite comic book. But this Leonardo story is probably my favorite Ninja Turtles story. So it's a little bit different, a little bit of a nuanced favorites. They're all my favorite. Who am I kidding? I love them all. I like them all. So we're going to get into this Leonardo story and break down a few details. And just right off the bat, the little cover page here, Leonardo looks noble. He's got his bandanas flapping in the wind. He's a proud leader. He's working hard. He really is disciplined. He has his own reasons. So they go into his motivations a little bit, but for why he's a leader, why he enjoys being a leader, what he gets out of it, what draws him to being a leader, what compels him to being a leader. And they start out right off. He has his own reasons. So he's kind of a stoic guy. And they start saying the barn is old. In its time it has sheltered many creatures, but never one like this. So this takes place in the Northampton barn. They were exiled from New York City. They had lost to the shredder. They had to flee from the city, just like the 1990 movie. Just like in the 2012 series, just like the 2003 series. That's a repeated motif. That's a repeated plot point in a lot of Ninja Turtles iterations, that the Turtles lose to Shredder and they have to run away to the farmhouse in Northampton. And it's either April O'Neil's farmhouse or Casey Jones' farmhouse, depending on which version you're reading or watching. So Leonardo, they're in the country. He's still practicing. He doesn't take a day off. He doesn't rest. So he's in the barn, he's training on his own. His name is Leonardo. The sword, the katana, is his chosen weapon. He's such a cool Ninja Turtle. He's just in the barn training, just on his own, just driven by himself. He doesn't have a coach. He doesn't have a trainer. He doesn't have anyone motivating him. He does it on his own because he wants to be better. He wants to be the best. He doesn't want to let his brothers down. And it goes on about the sword is the soul of the samurai, and Ninja Turtles and samurai get mixed up every now and then. It's understandable. But Leonardo is no samurai. He is a ninja. And I like that he knows that the blade is only one of many weapons available to him. He doesn't just go around cutting stuff. He understands he can use the dull edge of the blade to push people around. He doesn't need to just stab people. He can just use the fear of the blade to get people to move how he would like them to move. And I like that they say his greatest weapons are his mind and his body. His mind comes first. The ultimate battlefield, the ultimate challenge is in the mind. That's where the ultimate playing field is. It's in the mind. It isn't some sports field. It isn't a fight with the foot soldiers. It's his mind and his body. He's in a competition with himself. He's training against himself. He just wants to be better for himself. His greatest weapons are his mind. And I think that's just such a powerful thing. Information is so much more powerful than weapons. If you can sway people's minds, you don't need to fight them. If you can convince someone, if you can be persuasive, you don't need to fight them. So his mind, his planning, his acumen as a ninja, his ability to be stealthy, that's the greatest weapon, the mind. The greatest war is in the mind. Information is the greatest war. It's not his body. It's not fighting. It's not punching people. So, get good grades, be smart, read a lot, learn, listen. And he says Leonardo practices hard. Harder than his brothers. So right off the bat, they're saying that he's dedicated. It's just a simple practice session. He's in a barn. They really don't even have anything to practice for. They're exiled from the city. They lost. They lost to Shredder, but he is just working so hard. He doesn't care. He's dedicated. He's training. If he ever gets another chance to fight the Shredder, he doesn't want to lose. He hates losing. And it says he practices hard, harder than his brothers, sometimes even harder than Master Splinter demands. He has his own reasons. So Master Splinter, he's the master. He's the teacher. He's their father. And Leonardo still pushes himself further and harder than Master Splinter pushes him. So it's amazing to think that Leonardo's just so driven, and the artwork really captures the action and the intensity and the focus that Leonardo has. He's just in a barn by himself, but he's created this elaborate routine. He's swinging his sword around. He's flying from the rafters. He's training. He's fighting. He's relentless. His desire for all of this stuff, he's insatiable. He can't get enough. He loves training. He loves being a ninja. And they deal with some of his inner complications right now, his inner monologue. And they're saying the others think of him as the leader, the big brother, the serious one. So they talk about the dynamics of Leonardo being the big brother, the leader, and how it weighs on his shoulders, and how he's hardly a teenager, how he's always so focused. He can just hardly ever relax and let his hair down or let his bandanas down. Whatever the phrase would be for a turtle. He can hardly ever relax because he's the leader. He has to be the serious one who's always ready if things get hairy. So he's training in the barn, and you can see him running around. He's muscular. There's action going on. He's really going for it. He's not doing he's not going half shell. He's going full shell. Constantly on guard. Determined to be ready for anything. And he's just in this barn by himself, but he has a fire in him. I can feel the fire now. I can feel this fire. He's on fire, and I'm on fire too, because Leonardo's training so hard. Woo! So he's determined to be ready for anything. And you could see his back is against the wall. He's got a fierce grimace on his face. His bandanas are flying around. He's whipping out his swords. And the artwork looks beautiful. The barn is drawn well. Leonardo is drawn well. Michael Dooney has a great sense of style, and he draws the turtles in such an interesting, unique way. It's different than the way Kevin and Peter draw them, but it fits in perfectly. It's different, but it still fits. His responsibilities are great. So great, in fact, that sometimes he forgets he is a teenager. So this goes into Leonardo's personal story, how he personally deals with being a Ninja Turtle, how he deals with the dynamic between him and his brothers, and how he deals with the dynamic of being the leader of the team. And it's just so interesting how he's just by himself in a barn, and there's all this turmoil going on. There's all this tension. He's just by himself, but he just can't get enough. He just can't train enough. He just always wants more. He just wants to train and be better and be stronger and be a better leader for his family. He's driven. Big and Soft Rafty says he can be scary. Leonardo can be scary. When someone's that driven, and someone's that focused, he's not going to let anything stop him. He's going to go hardcore. Full shell, like I said. And he forgets he's a teenager. He has so many responsibilities, he can't take a second to relax. Every second of the day, there's something weighing on his shoulders. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. Some voice within drives him on, insisting, relentless. Faster, Leonardo. Again, Leonardo. Again, Leonardo. He's flying around this barn, smashing stuff, slicing through chains. Again! He just can't get enough. And this intensity, it's palpable when you're reading this book. This book gave me an anxious feeling almost. Like I wanted to start training or something. I felt like I wasn't doing enough in my life. I needed to be better. Maybe I could be more like Leonardo. Until Raph comes in with the other turtles and he says, "Yo, Leo." "Raph? Some wise guy signed me up for the Barry Manilow fan club." You guys know who Barry Manilow is? And if you don't know who Barry Manilow is, he's a singer, songwriter. He was popular. He's been popular since the 60s. He's had a long career. And you can see here he's got beautiful feathered hair. He's showing an awful lot of man cleavage. He's showing his chest off, wearing a necklace, some jewelry. And Barry Manilow didn't exactly make the toughest, most masculine, manly music. I don't think any typical jocks or, bikers were bumping Barry Manilow. His hit song's Mandy. It's kind of a ballad. He also did Copacabana. He worked with Bette Midler a lot of kind of flashy, flamboyant Broadway show tunes kind of music. So Barry Manilow was kind of used as a punchline in the story because he didn't make the most masculine music, and it's it's like it's funny if someone got signed up for a big tough teenage turtle, tough guys, they get signed up for kind of a wimpy music fan club. And this is Barry Manilow now. He's still active. He's a great singer and great songwriter. He's a great music producer. And he came out as gay a few years ago. So kind of what they're insinuating in the book, what they're implying is, we signed you up for a fan club of this Light in the Loafers singer, Barry Manilow. So Leo signs up Raph for the Barry Manilow fan club, kind of as a prank, as a troll. It's like signing one of your friends up for something that isn't necessarily for them, something they wouldn't like. When I think of Raph in the 80s comic books, I think of heavy metal. I know this is the early 90s, late 80s. Glam rock was popular, like hair metal, Poison, Motley Crue, Metallica, grunge. Nirvana was coming out in 91. Grunge was right around the corner. Barry Manilow was sashaying around with Bette Midler at the time. He was gay, he was in the closet, he wasn't publicly out of the closet or whatever. But people talk. It's one of those things, people knew. It was an understood secret in Hollywood. It was one of those things, it was an understood secret everywhere, I think, honestly. You look at Barry Manilow with that feathered hair. Not that gay people look a certain way, but that feathered hair is beautiful. That's beautiful hair. So they kind of imply that Leo signed up Raph for this, feminine, wimpy singers fan club. So they're kind of ripping on Raph here, kind of ripping on Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow gets hit with a little shrapnel, but they like Barry. I mean, Barry Manilow is a talented guy. The songs are wonderful. They're produced well. Great voice, great musicality. But like I said, just not the manliest music. I think that's what they're getting at. I don't think they're ripping on him for being gay. It's not like a homophobic joke. He's just not the most masculine guy. He's not the toughest guy. It's not tough music that you would typically think lines up with Raph's personality of being the angry one. Maybe the angry guy has a hidden secret. Maybe Raph goes into his room at night. He's listening to Olivia Rodrigo. He's listening to Taylor Swift. You know, Raph's listening to Miley Cyrus in his headphones. Who knows what he's doing on his own time? So Raph asks Leo, you know anything about that? And you get to see Leo's face. He's sweating. He's grimacing. He's so focused. He was just training. Leonardo's sweating, and you see in the lower left-hand corner his grimace slowly turns to a smile, a little sly smirk on the lower right corner. He goes from this angry grimace to being focused and determined, and then he smirks a little bit. And all the turtles crack up because they realize what happened, that Leonardo signed up Raph for the Barry Manilow fan club. So not only does he train hard, he parties hard, he jokes hard. Leonardo does everything 110%. Leonardo doesn't go half shell for anything. Leonardo is pushing it 24/7. He trains hard, he jokes hard, he pranks hard, he lives hard. Everything he does to the fullest extent. Leonardo is not going half-mast on anything. He's flying hard. So the turtles all have a laugh. Raph's offended. Very funny. Grow up, will ya? This is an elaborate prank. Back in the day, I assume you had to mail out something. You had to put something in the mail to be a fan club member. You had to maybe send in money or something. And, this is an elaborate prank. It probably took 4 to 6 weeks for shipping and handling. And then they finally ship it out. This is a joke that has been brewing in Leonardo's mind for probably weeks at this point. So when the punchline finally comes, Leo can hardly hold his smile in, and he just starts cracking up. So this is really great stuff. This is a joke that took 4 to 6 weeks to prepare. Leonardo isn't messing around in the battlefield or in the joke realm. Leonardo's pushing it. So Challenges by Michael Dooney, great graphic novel. One of the first graphic novels for the Ninja Turtles back in 1991. Original stories, 6 original stories, Origin, Splinter, and the 4 Turtles. So let's give some T's in the chat to Michael Dooney. T for Turtles and T for thank you for writing such wonderful Ninja Turtle stories and drawing such wonderful Ninja Turtles art. Michael Dooney is one of the key players in the Ninja Turtles world. He's one of the key players other than Peter Laird, Kevin Eastman, Jim Lawson, Steve Levine, all the early crew, Dan Berger. We know all these guys are legends, and the Ninja Turtles wouldn't be what they are today without these people. These guys laid the groundwork for the Ninja Turtles. And like I was going over earlier, not only is he a wonderful artist, he's a wonderful writer. He worked on the Last Ronin action figures. He draws, nude ladies, beautiful stuff. I think he probably does commissions still. So follow him on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. He has a store. I'm sure he sells prints or sells original artwork, or you can do commissions. His work on the Volume 4 stuff is great, so I just can't praise him enough. And this Leonardo story, Challenges, he has his own reasons. Maybe my favorite Ninja Turtles story. Definitely my favorite Leonardo story. Maybe my favorite Ninja Turtles story, and I just can't give him enough praise. I could speak about this book for hours. But you guys would get bored of that. So I'm going to let you go here. Make sure to follow and like and subscribe. Do a live stream every Saturday and every Tuesday. And I put out a scripted video last Thursday about Rhonda Pattison. So go check that out. If someone could tweet that video to Rhonda Pattison, that'd be great. Her Twitter is in the description of that. And I couldn't find anything about Rhonda Pattison online. So that was a little bit tricky. So let's make sure she finds it. I just wanted to say thanks again for watching. T for thank you and T for Turtles. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on Tuesday. I've got a great live stream coming up this Tuesday, and I wish our time was longer. It always feels too short. I wish there was more time. There's never enough time. So just wanted to say thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you on Tuesday, okay? Thank you again, and at this point, we know what time it is. I guess there's only one thing left to say. Is that true? Is there anything left to say? Let me check your chats here real fast to make sure there's nothing left to say. Mr. Turtle says Raph probably secretly likes his music. That's good. Big and Soft Rafty says, oh my gosh, that's my new headcanon. Maybe Raphael's a little more sensitive than we thought, right? Maybe he is listening to Barry Manilow in private. He's listening to the Carpenters. You can't be rock and roll all the time. Sometimes you gotta relax and listen to, little Fiona Apple, little Taylor Swift, something like the Lilith Fair in the late 90s. A bunch of soft female folk rock. So that's enough for now, right? Thank you again for joining me. I'll see you on Tuesday on my Ninja Turtles channel. Ah, it's that time. One thing left to say, right? Cowabunga! Thanks for watching. Feel free to leave a comment and share this video. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more Ninja Turtles videos like this.